Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a really fascinating legal puzzle. What happens when someone is wrongfully killed? Well, the law provides two very distinct paths to justice, not just for the victim, but for the family they leave behind, and we're going to untangle them right now. So let's just get right to the heart of it with a question. If the person who causes an injury actually outlives their victim, does the legal claim for that injury just vanish into thin air?
You know, believe it or not, for a very long time the answer was, yeah, it did. Under the old common law, the rule was just incredibly harsh. If you were injured by someone but you died before your lawsuit was over, your claim died right along with you. Your family, they got nothing.
Now, you can imagine this created a really messed up situation, a total legal black hole where, as the grim old saying went, it was literally cheaper for the defendant to kill the plaintiff than to injure them. This was, plain and simple, justice being denied by death.
And this harsh legal idea, it actually has a name: abatement. It meant the whole lawsuit just got wiped out, extinguished, the second the injured person died. It left families dealing not only with their grief, but with absolutely no legal way to get justice for the harm that was done.
Thankfully, lawmakers eventually looked at this and said, no way, this is completely unjust. So, to fix this massive problem, they didn't just create one solution, they actually created two separate and distinct ways for justice to be pursued after a victim's death. And these two paths are what we're here to talk about: survival actions and wrongful death actions. Now, I know they sound kind of similar, but trust me, they are fundamentally different tools that are designed to fix very different kinds of harm.
All right, let's start with the first path. This one is all about one central idea: keeping the victim's original claim alive.
A survival action pretty much does exactly what the name suggests. It allows the legal claim that the victim themselves, before they died, to survive their death. The claim doesn't just get extinguished anymore, it lives on.
This is probably the best way to get your head around it. This analogy is perfect. The victim's estate literally steps into their shoes. It's like they're picking up the lawsuit exactly where the victim left off and continuing it for them.
So that leads to a pretty logical question, right? If the victim is gone, who's actually doing the suing? Who is stepping into those shoes?
Well, that job falls to the representative of the victim's estate. This is usually called the executor or the administrator. They're the ones who act on behalf of the deceased to see the claim through.
Okay, so what are they fighting for? What kind of money are we talking about here? What specific losses does a survival action cover?
Now, this is absolutely crucial. A survival action only covers the harm the victim themselves suffered in that period between their injury and their death. So we're talking about their medical bills, the wages they lost because they couldn't work, and, this is a big one, the pain and suffering they actually endured.
Okay, so that's path number one. Now, let's switch gears and look at the second path. This one is totally different because it's not about continuing the victim's old claim, it's about creating a brand new one from scratch. And this is a wrongful death action. And listen, this is the most important distinction to grasp. This is a brand new lawsuit. It has nothing to do with the victim's pain and suffering. This is a claim brought by the surviving family members for the losses they themselves have suffered now that their loved one is gone.
So, if this claim belongs to the family, then who, specifically, gets to file this lawsuit?
The law is very specific about this. The people who can sue are called statutory beneficiaries, and that list typically includes the most immediate family, the surviving spouse, the kids, and sometimes the parents of the person who passed away.
And what are they suing for? I mean, if it's not for the victim's pre-death pain and medical bills, what losses does a wrongful death action actually cover?
Well, here's the other key difference. The damages are all about the impact on the survivors after the death. This is about the hole left in their lives. We're talking about the loss of financial support, the value of services like childcare or household chores, the profound loss of companionship and love, and even the cost of the funeral.
Okay, deep breath. We've looked at both paths individually. Now let's bring it all together and put these two actions head to head. This should make the distinctions crystal clear.
So let's just break this down, side by side. The survival action, it preserves the victim's old claim. It's brought by their estate, and it's all about the victim's losses before they died. On the other hand, the wrongful death action, it creates a totally new claim for the family. It's brought by them directly, and it's all about their losses after the death. See, there are two different claims for two different harms brought by two different groups of people.
Look, if you remember only one thing from this whole explainer, please make it this right here. A survival action is for the victim's losses before death. A wrongful death action is for the survivor's losses after death. That is the single most important concept that separates these two.
So let's end with a final thought to really lock this in. In this exact scenario, what two claims could be filed? Well, based on everything we've just covered, the victim's estate could file a survival action for that month of medical bills and suffering. And at the same time, the surviving spouse and children could file their own, separate, wrongful death action for their loss of support and companionship. Two paths to justice correcting a single tragic wrong.